Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Thank you for tuning in. Today we'll focus on cryptocurrency security or lack thereof, what can be done to secure your funds from cryptocurrency theft, what exchanges are doing as well on that note, and some of the most hype years as well. Starting off with a major one that has occurred over the past few months. I have this crypto piece here about Binance, 7,000 Bitcoin being stolen earlier this year in May. So just to give you some perspective for those who are new to the space, welcome. Binance is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. Back to the article. Binance has experienced a security breach involving some 7,000 Bitcoin valued at approximately $40 million US. Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, aka CZ, informed the community that roughly 2% of Binance's Bitcoin holdings were affected. The remaining 98% of Binance wallets remain safe because of cold storage or offline storage, according to what the team says, reassuring investors that the 7,000 Bitcoin loss will be fully covered by the exchange. The team said Binance will use the hashtag SAFU fund to cover this incident in full. No user funds will be affected. The security review will include all parts of our systems and data, which is large. We estimate this will take about 1 week. We will post updates frequently as we progress. Now, for those who have no idea what this SAFU fund is, here is information about it. It stands for the Secure Asset Fund for Users, which was launched last year in July. It's funded by the trading fees from all the transactions that occur on Binance's platform. As a quick side note, I think this is very intelligent and quite proactive of Binance to have implemented this at the time. It's considered, say, some form of insurance, and a bit more information there about SAFU. But back to the article here. Update as a follow-up to this, as mentioned here, Binance will conduct a security review. Well, this is some information following that. Let's scroll down. This is a CCN piece here titled, for those not looking at the script, crypto will become much harder to hack after Binance shares data. There's a video as well corresponding to that, but let's go down just to summarize some of the key points here. Any platform or server that is connected to the internet is vulnerable to a security breach. For that reason, major exchanges keep the overwhelming majority of user funds in cold wallets as opposed to hot wallets, which remain offline and are safeguarded from hackers. And the number, as a quick side note, the number I see floating around is usually somewhere between 95 and 98% of funds being stored offline. Although the practice of creating an emergency fund has decreased the risk of a security breach in the day-to-day operations of exchanges, investors have expressed concerns over frequent security breaches in the crypto market. And later on in the video, I'll talk about some hardware wallets that you could look into if you're interested in storing your funds offline and having complete control over your funds as well. Another action being taken to help mitigate the risk of theft. It says here, beginning this week, smaller exchanges will be able to use the big data from Binance, which would allow exchanges to detect and block certain transactions that are suspected to be connected to a security breach. The rest of the article there, I won't go through it all for brevity, just a couple of quick points I would like to make. The banks collectively do not have all of the funds available at the branch. When you walk in and let's say you have several $1 million and you say, I want to withdraw all of my funds up front. Well, the banks, it's unlikely a bank will actually give you all in one go. It would make them a huge target if they kept all of the cash there, especially in a society that is becoming more and more cashless. So it's only sensible that they store the funds offline to make it more resistant to hacks. Back to this Crypto Slate piece here. This is a step in the right direction, but as was mentioned in the CCN piece, people become increasingly skeptical because of all of these cryptocurrency hacks. Now, for some perspective, I want to draw your attention to this Statista piece here about the biggest crypto heists, and this was made last year. According to this graph, CoinCheck last year recorded the largest known cryptocurrency theft at roughly $547 million US, followed by Mt. Gox, which is, I'd say, the most high-profile and notorious cryptocurrency loss that's occurred in history, albeit brief, at approximately $480 million. And then there's Parity Wallet as well. There's a CCN piece as well, which talks about this astronomical loss by CoinCheck. And just to quickly point out, now pay attention to the date here. So it says 26th of January, and this was as a follow-up after the huge peak that we had here and the massive drop that occurred at the end of that bull run. A huge amount of funds was stolen. XCM, the native cryptocurrency of the NEM network, and that was stolen by a group of hackers. And the main reason for this was just poor security measures. The funds were stored almost entirely in a hot wallet, and that's just a huge stuff up. In my opinion, you're just asking for trouble there. Since then, a lot of crypto exchanges have learnt their lesson, and it says here as well, most major cryptocurrency exchanges such as Kraken, Coinbase, and Bitfinex have multi-signature security measures in place which prevent funds from being processed on public blockchain networks until a third-party security service provider confirms the legitimacy of transactions. However, as a quick side note, Bitfinex did incur a $65 million loss back in 2016 following this. Another thing that hasn't been mentioned, and I know some people are probably screaming, wanting me to mention this, is why don't we store the cryptocurrencies offline ourselves or manage them ourselves? And that leads on to my next point, hardware wallets that are stored offline and you manage 100% of the funds yourself. One of the most popular offline or hardware wallets is the Ledger Nano, and it comes in the Ledger Nano X and the S. The Nano X is the latest one out there. I forgot to mention earlier, none of this is legal, tax, and or financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and none of this is paid promotion as well. I will admit though, before you accuse me of hypocrisy, I do have a referral link. I have a referral link in the description, and I do get a small cut from that. So these are great ways to store your funds offline. You are in full control of it. So there's Ledger and there's Trezor as well. Do your own research, determine what works best for you. It's highly recommended to store some of your funds offline. In fact, probably the vast majority. You can afford it. In fact, if you are investing in crypto, I think you should seriously look into this. I have videos talking about hardware wallets and then one specifically about Ledger Nano S and X as well, and I'll provide a link to that in this video. So that's what we can do. What are cryptocurrency exchanges doing? So back to Binance, other than this secure asset fund for users, Binance released, and this was a few days after the hack, their guide in terms of 14 tips to improve security on your Binance account. I highly recommend you read through this, but for those who can't be bothered, some of the key points here, it says, and this applies to many things in general, always use two-factor authentication, preferably Google Authenticator. You should avoid using SMS Authenticator because you're at risk of being a victim to a SIM swap attack. I'll elaborate on that shortly. So Google Authenticator, and you should ensure that your Google account is secure as well. Always check the list of devices that's registered to your Binance account, so the ones that are being used to access Binance, whether it be the website or the app. Use a strong password just in general. A lot of this is common sense, to be fair. Level 2 verification is another step that you can undertake if you want to ensure that there are more measures in place before any withdrawals occur, and this also refers to the withdrawal limit on Binance, although you shouldn't be storing a significant amount of funds, especially relative to Bitcoin, on your account. In that case, I highly recommend that you get a hardware wallet or any offline wallet as well. Various forms exist. Scrolling down the list, internet security, please check your internet connection is secure. Antivirus software, put a lock on your phone, secure password manager. This is another one too. It says invest in universal second factor authenticators. This is an enhanced form of two-factor authentication. This involves purchasing a separate device to authorize access to your account, or even if you do withdrawals, I think any withdrawals as well, there'll be a request to use two-factor authentication. So there's this device here. Yubico is one brand that does this. There's, I think, Titan as well. Look into this. Again, none of this is paid none of these are paid promotions. I don't do this here. This is just some food for thought in case you're not aware of this. And there's a ton of useful information out there. So you've got that Binance blog piece. Highly recommend you read through it as well. A shout out to Laura Shin, who does the Unchained and Unconfirmed podcasts. One of her recent podcasts covered this topic in detail, and it goes for 1 hour. It's a very insightful and thought-provoking podcast with reps from Cypherblade and then mycrypto.com. I found it very useful. It pretty much elaborates on what I'm saying, and then it gives you a detailed explanation of what can be done. There's that link there. I do want to point out a guide that they've made on Medium. Firstly, it's a 51-minute read. Whilst that is long, investing a few hours of your time to protect your crypto, it's worth its weight in gold, or shall I say crypto. So go through this guide. Information about, say, this thing here called SIM jacking, and it actually covers SIM jacking in detail. As a quick side note, SIM jacking is when someone remotely gets access to your SIM and then is able to access your phone number and then get all your details through that. So this goes into extensive detail about how to avoid your phone. This speaks a lot about SIM swapping or SIM jacking and all. So people being able to get access to your phone number and then be able to have control of your phone, the phone number and all of the accounts linked to that. And as a lot of us are using our mobile phones for verification or using the apps, this is rather concerning. So learn how to protect yourself. All of the information here is available in the Medium piece. Again, a worthy investment of your time. Don't let this overwhelm you. Don't let this figure overwhelm you. And just my advice there. Now, a couple of other things to wrap up on. Actually, another thing too, Laura Shin produced this piece back in 2016 about how hackers have been managing to access people's accounts using only phone numbers. So please make sure that you review the security. I can't stress that enough. So we spoke about Binance, Coinbase, for those who use it. So Coinbase has the Coinbase Vault system, which is rather unique for cryptocurrency exchanges. There aren't many that offer this, or there aren't many that I'm aware of. So correct me if I'm wrong, or share information in the description if you have further data to provide about this. So how this works in a nutshell, so all the exchanges give you wallets, just like Coinbase. However, you can transfer funds from a wallet into a vault, and the benefit of this is it's a 48-hour time-delayed withdrawal. So it takes 2 days for you to transfer funds. It takes 2 days for funds to be withdrawn or transferred from one account to another. And in the event of a hack, it gives you time to get on top of that. I think 2 days is a sufficient amount of time. It also involves multiple approvers, so you can either choose to get individual approval, whereby you provide 2 email addresses and you have to verify the transaction on both of those, or you can get people within a group to authorize that. And then again, offline storage as well. So it says here 98% of digital currency is stored totally offline in geographically distributed safe deposit boxes and physical vaults. Now, to make their money, it goes without saying that yes, when you do a transaction, they charge a fee. And another thing as well, that another drawback with using exchanges as opposed to a hardware wallet, or there are other wallets you can use, not just offline hardware wallets. I'm not too familiar with them, just for the